Okay, so my name's Seb Mayfield and I'm here with Mary and Debbie from FirstBite, and I just wanted to start off with asking you guys what FirstBite is. Just explain a little bit about FirstBite.
Okay. Yeah, so we're just starting our first social enterprise, and we're a community kitchen based, we're a community food project. So we're aiming at creating projects and events and workshops and things that help vulnerable groups and help people get out of social isolation through food, basically, and through cooking and experiencing and socialising around food.
Okay.
So everything, all the food that we use is surplus food.
Right. Okay, and you get that surplus food from?
So at the moment we get food from FareShare, which is how we first met. So we were both fundraising for FareShare. So we get a delivery from there for our project. But we've also joined the Neighbourly. Do you know Neighbourly?
Okay. Yeah.
So M&S and some others have joined up to that.
Right.
So we get donations from them. And Tesco Food Cloud. So you get a text to say there's a collection of bakery goods. Do you want it? So we go and collect that. So we do a lot of running around, filling the boots of our cars with surplus food, which is sometimes fantastic, and sometimes it's not really. Yeah. And that actually is one of the challenges, that you get a lot of food and you think, what am I going to do with this? Because obviously we're serving food to the public in a cafe, and everybody loves the idea of surplus food. But if it really can't be used, then that's a problem for us. We haven't got enough. So sometimes we have to top up, don't we?
Yeah, and the food we get is all within date, within its use by date and whatever. But sometimes it's just not okay. It's just not, appropriate for what we're doing. So although it's perfectly within its date, it's not appropriate for what we're doing. So then we take it usually to somewhere else, like Trinity or something like that.
To another service.
Yeah, so they can.
Yeah, but we want to try to, sort of, one of our main focuses now within the new year is to try to target more local suppliers like farmers and local shops and people much more locally, so that we can get more local stuff, which is often overlooked because it's easier for the bigger supermarkets to access something like FareShare, but local suppliers are not as easy. So, and it's easier for us as well, and obviously it's local, so it's all good. But yeah.
Okay, good. And what was your reasons for setting FirstBite up? Because I should say it's fairly early stages, isn't it? I mean, you started. When did you kind of?
Our pilot started in November.
November 2016.
Yeah.
So so it's only kind of been 3 months, 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And so what was your main driver for getting started, getting going?
I think that just seeing the mountains of food that were down in FareShare in the depot, and just really thinking, what we should be using that.
Yeah. And I think because we haven't even known each other a year, so we only met in March or something last year.
Oh right, okay.
And we met, and we both had a passion for food waste, and I sort of came more from a food poverty angle, and Debbie came more from a food waste angle, but we both got passion for all of those things. So that was our passion, really, and we both wanted to do something about it for a long time, but we never met the right person to do it with. So it was just great meeting each other and saying, and then we just kind of went for it, I suppose, didn't we? So.
And I think with Mary's, with your nutrition background, we thought that would be really good for going into schools, actually. Yeah. So we knew that we had a really good supply of food, and that we could actually just go into schools and talk to people about nutrition and actually get them cooking and eating. So then the whole social aspect came in of sort of eating together and sitting families around a table, rather than kids disappearing off to their bedrooms with their tablets or whatever. Just bringing people back to focus on sort of social eating.
Sure.
Yeah.
And why is that important, do you think, the focus on social eating?
Well, something like 1 in 3 adults in this country eats alone. And if you eat alone, what are you going to eat? Are you going to be actually bothered to make yourself a meal? Or are you just going to grab something, or maybe even nothing?
I think for young people as well, there's a lot of psychological problems. Quite a lot of young people have psychological problems with food, and the relationships with food quite a lot of the time has, well, a massive amount of it is food culture and how you're brought up with eating and experiencing food together and the culture around that. And it's good to talk, you know, it's a cliche, but it's true. It's good to be together and talk and experience and, you know, and I think especially for young people, it's a good way to develop and broaden their ideas and all that kind of thing. So, but then on the opposite end of the spectrum, like Debbie said, there's a lot of people in isolation and a lot of older people, especially in isolation, communities are much more far-flung, and so yeah, it's just, and you don't want to cook when you're on your own, do you? There's no point, you know, you feel like there's no point, and so you end up buying ready meals and whatever, which are obviously high in salt and sugar and all the rest of it, and very good food, so, and expensive. So yeah, all sorts of things.
And so if you could just explain a little bit about what activities you've actually done so far. I came along to one of your community cafes before Christmas, and that was great, and there was a real buzz. I thought it was really positive atmosphere and just a lovely vibe, and so just wondering if you could explain a bit about exactly what that cafe is, and then also I know you've been doing a project in a school as well, so if you can explain those two.
Yeah, so the cafe came about because we wanted to start a community cafe, but we didn't have a venue. Anyway, we met somebody from St Peter's Church in Winchester, and they said, oh, the church actually want to use this fantastic space that they've got. They've got a sort of commercial kitchen in there with a nice centre attached to it, and they want to use it. So we went to see them. They liked our idea of using surplus food in a cafe, and they also liked the pay-as-you-feel element of it, which meant that anybody could come in and they wouldn't necessarily be able to pay a huge amount, but they could pay whatever they felt like. And I know that pay-as-you-feel runs across other projects, the food project.
Yeah.
So the church were really keen on that idea as well. And then they managed to get a posse of volunteers together. And actually everybody involved in the community cafe project, they all love it. Everybody gets a buzz. And we didn't know how it was going to go before we started. We didn't know whether we were all going to get on, whether we were going to gel, you know, all sorts of issues could have come up, and you know, there were teething problems obviously. But you're right, when you come in, everybody says, wow, it's a buzz. And I think they like the food, they love the fact that it comes from surplus food. And they like the idea of being able to sit with people that they wouldn't normally sit with. Or, you know, it's that real sort of community feel about it, that you go in and you don't know who you're going to have a conversation with, and it could be anybody. And we have had more vulnerable people coming in, so we've had some sort of dementia sufferers, and you know, we try and look after them as best we can. But you know, they might not necessarily get out anywhere else. I mean, with a community feel, it's more accessible for them to actually come and have a meal. They feel that they can, whereas going somewhere else in Winchester, it might not be the environment that's really suitable for them, and they wouldn't necessarily do it. So yeah, we have nuns coming in. It's all sorts.
And you do that. That's one lunch a week, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's one a week.
And is that something that is a sort of frequency that you think is about right, or do you want to ideally be doing more regularly?
Yeah, we would like to build it so that we can open more days of the week. I mean, eventually, I think we'd probably like to be doing it every day. It's a little way off yet, but yeah, because I think it is very popular, and it's a good formula because it has. I think the shared tables thing, as David said, is great because it means people can come out and just have someone to talk to, but then there's also space for, if they don't want to talk to anyone, they can go and sit on their own, you know. So it does work, and we can produce really good meals very cheaply because the food is surplus. So and it's really, you know, it really highlights the surplus food issue, and a lot of people have been really shocked by that because a lot of people still really don't know about it, you know. So but yeah, I think we'd like to open further and get, you know, the idea is to get people in who can be trained in the kitchens and trained with employment skills as well. So obviously if we open more days of the week, we'll be able to have more trainees and develop more people going forward as well. So
okay. And how have you, I noticed there were quite a few people working in the kitchen. So where have you found those people who help out?
Well, we've used, apart from people who were, you know, in the parish of the church, we contacted Winchester Hub, which is at the university. And a lot of people said to us, oh, don't touch students, so, they won't turn up, they'll commit to 6 weeks or whatever, and you'll get them once. And we used Winchester Hub students in the cafe and at the grub clubs, and they've been fantastic.
Right.
They've been really, really good.
That's
Just completely switched on. They've been told about the projects and what we're doing before they come. They're really keen on the idea, and they just have mucked in. They've just really, I've been really surprised.
Yeah, and then we've got our chefs, my brother Richard, so he does all our projects, so he's an very experienced qualified chef, so we're lucky to have that, because obviously he can do all the chefing.
And people that we know,
from
actually,
St Peter's, and people that we know, and people who have just sort of wanted to be involved, haven't they? So yeah.
Good. And then Grub Club in school.
Yeah, so the Grub Club project is an after-school club that we piloted at Winnell Primary School before Christmas. We did that for 6 weeks. So we've done that with Winchester Active, with the council. So they've had their sports team come in and take the kids out. They do a bit of activity with the kids. And then our element really is from a sort of nutrition point of view, and also just prepping food with the parents and children. So we do a little talk with the parents about nutrition, just sort of really, really basic stuff that, it's sort of fat, sugar, salt, food labelling, and that's just sort of 20 minutes, so it's not a kind of lecture, and it's more of a discussion-led 20 minutes rather than this is this, and you must do this, because that doesn't work. So it's good because the parents, obviously they're all together, they all kind of know each other or don't know each other, but it's really nice for them because they can discuss what they know, what they don't know, and learn stuff, and also talk about what they do at home, what kind of recipes they cook, and how they do things, which is nice for them because it means that they feel a bit less isolated, I suppose, in their cooking or whatever. So we do that, and then the kids and the parents will all chop some food together. So we've made a healthy coleslaw, we've made salads, fruit kebabs, all sorts of vegetable things. We did soup with smooth bite, which was fun. So yeah, just sort of, for us it's really important to get people involved in the process of making a meal. And because it's in the school, they're not allowed to actually use the kitchen, which is fair enough. But so we encourage them to do all the prep as their way of being involved. And it's great because it's just a really nice social atmosphere, while they're chopping or whatever, they're all chatting, and, they might be having a gossip, or they might be talking about food or whatever. And we try to lead it so that there is kind of food discussion, but it's just good that they're all together and doing something after school that they're enjoying, and the kids have loved it, haven't they? We had one of the girls went home after one session, came in the next week with this healthy pizza that she'd made for us at home, which was just amazing, wasn't it? It was a bit like, oh my god, a bit emotional. But it was really great because it means that the kids going home and, thinking about food and wanting to make food for themselves and homemade food. And
they tried things that they'd never tried before. They said, oh wow, we had no idea you could actually eat the skin of a jacket potato. And they loved it. Things like that, you wouldn't, unless you are exposed to that, you wouldn't know. But and also the parents and the teachers who came in, they loved the idea of us all sitting down at the end, all eating together. Whether we talked about what we'd done or talked about something else, it didn't matter. And they all said the children are just so well behaved when they're sitting and eating together, and they eat everything. And I think that I didn't expect that to happen. It's something that hadn't crossed my mind before we did the Grub Club, but actually they all remarked on it. That it was so lovely to have them all sitting around a table together.
And I think that's because they were part of its creation. They were part of making the food, so they really felt like they had ownership of that food that they were eating, which was great.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, that's a good insight. So you're fairly early on, sort of 2-3 months into it. What have been kind of the sort of main challenges, sort of top 3 challenges that you found kind of in the sort of early stages?
Well, I don't know. What would you say?
Yeah, definitely the amount of time and energy that we needed to put into this project. I think we really underestimated what it was going to take from us, personally.
Okay.
that it was always a challenge. There was always something extra to do, because even though you can plan as much as you like, but actually when you're in the thick of it and it's all got to happen and you've got to produce something.
So sort of logistically, travelling and taking things in and out of vehicles and setting things up and all that time and energy. And also we had in the first few, because we planned especially the Grub Club and the stuff we did with A2 Dominion, we planned every week quite meticulously, and we were like, right, we have to have this. But we hadn't really, we'd kind of forgotten that with service food you don't get a shopping list, you get what you're given, and so we had that in the first couple of weeks, didn't we, which was quite stressful, and then we were just like, well, we'll just adapt to that then, and you just have to adapt to things, but before you adapt, it's a bit like, oh my god, all these best laid plans just crumbling before your eyes. But that was great, actually, in looking back, that was a really good thing to happen, because it made us much more flexible, I think, and much more, we were then sort of going for projects on the day and being like, right, we're going to do this, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So,
So what, and in terms of the kind of that energy that's required and the amount of time that it takes up, and is that something that you think could have been reduced if you'd done it differently, or is it just the reality of getting a project going? It just is time consuming, it just does require a lot of energy, and there's no getting away from it? Or do you think there are things that you might have been able to do differently to make things a bit easier, if you've done, with the benefit of hindsight?
With the benefit of hindsight, maybe we wouldn't have done all our pilots all starting and finishing at the same time.
Right.
So I think it was really put on.
I think
it's out of it, and
I think it is a reality. I think there's always going to be things that you just totally don't think of, and I think sometimes everyone has a tendency sometimes to think that they're superhuman, don't they? But then actually, when you're really knackered, you don't feel superhuman at all. And it's like, but no, Debbie's right. I think we wanted to take on loads of stuff, and we did that. But in hindsight, perhaps we would have taken on a little bit less, and also we didn't really have time to look at anything while it was happening. We were just kind of, so it's only now that once it's all finished that we've been able to look back and look at all the projects while they were actually happening. We weren't able to do that because we were just in it, totally in it. We couldn't really see it from the outside, which wasn't necessarily a really bad thing, but it might have been better to have a little bit more time to do that, wouldn't it? I think.
Yeah, possibly. I think so. Because we're obviously not just about FirstBite. We've got other stuff going on as well, and I've got family and stuff, and you just actually think. They've all been very supportive, but they've paid their price as well. And actually, you want to have the energy to keep it going. We're in this for the long term, so we don't want to kill ourselves by the end of this year. We want the projects to work. So I think we just be a bit more
I think that's
careful
really
about what we take on and what we, and just filter it a bit. Maybe we'll just say actually, this project is utterly viable, it works, it ticks all the boxes, all positive, but actually maybe that one, we tried it, but it's nowhere near as good as this,
Sure.
Maybe that's got to go by the way.
I think that's a really good point though, because you don't, even if you've got a massive amount of passion for what you're doing, which we have, it is easy to burn out, and then you can become a bit resentful maybe of what you're doing in a way if it's taking too much time and sacrificing other things. That didn't happen to us, but there were a few moments when we were like, so maybe next time we take on a bit less.
But I think there is something in having to go through it.
I do
you can't, as much as anybody tells you, because when we were talking just before we started this chat, you were saying about kind of the importance of going and visiting a similar project and finding out from them. But no matter, I think from my own personal experience before, no matter how much you do that, you can't really truly appreciate kind of the challenges and what's required until you actually throw yourself into it. So I think I feel like there's a bit of a balance between the two, isn't there? Yeah. Is that how you would?
Yeah, definitely. Because when you go and see other people doing stuff and they're all up and running, they've been doing it for a while, and they're all like it's a breeze, you think, oh, that's easy, we can do that.
Yeah.
And then obviously you don't see all that side of it, and you haven't seen how it was in the beginning and all of that. So, but no, you're right. You do have to have some element of that. But yeah, but
you're
you
right.
have to
Nelson
strike
did tell
balance.
us from the Separate Sub Club in Bristol. We went to see her. She said initially she was doing 70-hour weeks on her own.
Right.
And you just think, ooh.
Would you say what that project was again, sorry?
The Surplus Supper Club in
Surplus
Bristol.
Supper,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's basically a fair share kitchen.
Right, okay.
Um,
So yeah, so you went there and you visited and you found out a bit about that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. And so just to finish off, just wondering kind of if you could give me, I mean you've sort of given some tips really throughout the conversation for other people who might be looking at doing similar things, but what would be kind of a main tip that you would, advise others going who might be about to embark on a similar sort of project?
I definitely advise people to do their research well, and if they're going to use surplus food, then actually go and do some volunteering at a Fresh depot and actually see how it all works. Because if you're just going to say, well, I'll get food and get on with it, when things you don't get the deliveries or there's something not quite right, you won't understand where they're coming from and what their issues are.
Yeah.
So I would really definitely say go and volunteer and do something sort of at that ground level.
Okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also, I don't know, if you are doing it and feeling a bit tired or a bit like you don't want to carry on, just remember why you're doing it, remember your passion and remember what you're doing it for. And be prepared to be surprised by things, because, I think probably for me more than Debbie, I don't know, because I've got quite a big background in hospitality, and especially with the cafe, I kind of approached it maybe a bit too much from a business point of view and a bit too much from my corporate experience point of view, and it's absolutely nothing like anything I've ever experienced before in my life. So, for me it was kind of, there was a lot of adapting going on every single time, and so it was a big learning curve for me, and on that respect, which obviously takes more energy as well. So just go into it completely with your eyes open, and have your sort of base plan, but don't be surprised if things change and you need to adapt, and just go with it, and be able to talk about everything with the people you're doing it with as well, and be open with each other about anything that you're not happy with or you want to change, and the great things as well, obviously.
Sure. So, where, if people are interested in finding out more, you got a website up, or where could people go to?
We've got a Facebook page. Facebook page.
So they just go for FirstBite on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And Twitter as well, haven't we? I don't know what we're called. FirstBite Co is our Twitter
FirstBite Co.
address.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, guys, and good luck.
Thank you.